folks, and welcome to their Saturday morning Samoflange. I'm Matt, and I am by myself. Hey, as this podcast is playing, I am trying to get kids packed in a car, which is probably not going to happen till I would say 4 to 6 hours after this podcast has come out. I'll finally get them out the door, and we'll be on our way back from the beach. But until that time, I decided to film this one. I wanted to film it with brothers. Brothers have no interest in podcast, which is fine. I can do it on my own. And this was a great topic, a topic that I did have a conversation slightly with them about. I've been having this conversation for quite some time, and so the idea was in my head. In fact, I started the conversation one night just to get my brothers talking about it, and then said, hey, let's stop and do a podcast on it, to which they said, and changed the subject. So the thing was top 5 hated bands you still hate today. My brother was talking about a 90s station on one of the little streaming services, and he let it play. And he was like, oh, listen, kids, this is a good song. And he turned on the song and was singing with it, only to recall that, oh, wait a minute, I used to hate this song when it came out, which is great. I thought that was hilarious because I was the same way. Now, with certain songs, certain bands, I've forgiven them. I'm like, well, it's been a while. Yeah, I kind of like this song now. Or I remember hating this song. And the song doesn't bother me anymore. It's more nostalgic than anything, right? The days of radio are long gone in a way. I mean, yes, radio's still around. Radio's here to stay, especially for sports. I love listening to sports on radio. So do my brothers as well. So radio will always be around in some form, but radio music is never going to be as big as it was when I was a kid, or even bigger back when my dad was a kid. So, but there are certain bands that I was thinking about that I still hate today, even though the music is 90s, it's nostalgic. It still sucks. I still cannot stand them. Now, I tried to think of some bands that I used to hate back in the day that I'll listen to now. I think Creed is one. I was never a Creed fan. Creed was overrated back in the day, and some people knew that, but a lot of people didn't. In the 2000s or whatnot, Creed was everywhere. And I thought, man, they're okay, but they're not that good. I'll be honest, folks, I even said the same about Nirvana, and I still feel the same of Nirvana. I think they're an okay band. Their Unplugged album is the best, but other than that, they're okay. They're okay. I've always said that. They're never like the band. It blows my mind that they are the new like Def Leppard or Grateful Dead or whatnot, because kids are wearing their shirts all the time. Now that's fun, because now I know how the older men felt back in the 90s when everyone was wearing the 70s band t-shirts. Like, yeah, man, that was a good band. You felt like you could connect to those kids. I feel like I can connect those kids too, but I want to say Kurt Cobain was overrated. You're not allowed to say that, though, because he died. But I just felt Nirvana was fine, And so, I mean, I hear Nirvana now, I'm thinking good stuff, But I remember back in the day thinking they're okay. And then I cannot think. And my brothers and I were just talking about this a few nights ago. There are a few bands out there that we used to hate that when the song comes on, a lot of one-hit wonders mainly, but like, oh, I hated this song when it came out. But now you're like, you know what? It's okay now. It's okay now. I don't mind it as much. But what are these all bands? Yes, they are. What are 5 bands that I still can't stand today? Now, I think all of these are 90s. Of course, they carry on. Some of them are still today. And I got the most popular ones. There's a lot of one-hit wonders I took out of this list. Also, I should also mention I took out all the boy bands. I am not an NSYNC fan, a Backstreet Boys fan. Actually, 98 Degrees, a few songs I enjoyed. Believe it or not. But Spice Girls. Spice Girls I originally had on here too with NSYNC and Backstreet Boys. But then I recalled, okay, yeah, I don't like their music now, but the thing is, though, that was their niche. They were the boy band, the girl band, the kiddie band, And so I feel like I was coming down too hard. There wasn't really a particular singer that I hated back in the day that I still hate now. I mean, Michael Bolton was never a big deal to me, and now I listen to his songs with a smile. So there you go. There's an example, Michael Bolton. Wasn't necessarily the biggest fan of his, but now, okay, I'll listen to it here or there. But there are 5 bands, and I got the most popular ones here, I think. And I'm going to make some changes because I see these are not in order. I have 2 number 5s and a 4. Somehow I can't count on this. Maybe I did this at night and my big fat fingers messed up and I didn't see this coming. So I'm going to put, that's a pretty big name. Let me rearrange this really quick. There's some big names on here. And if you love these bands, you definitely are going to get pissed. Matt, how could you not like these bands? And I'm sure you could say the same thing to me. In fact, I am very interested to hear what other people's top 5 will be like. I was very interested to hear what my brother's top 5 would be like. I wanted them to save the conversation, and they did. They decided when they saw it was going to be a podcast to change the conversation, not even talk about it, because they don't want to be on a podcast. But, so here we go, in the order of, and let me see, I do hate these bands. And these are almost in popularity order, almost. But number 5 is one, I don't know too many people have a problem with this, but Counting Crows. Never was I hated Counting Crows back in the day. They were always so big. And today, you hear their music like, oh yeah, I remember that song, and it still sucks. I cannot listen to it. I can't. Now I had to go back, and of course I went on my Amazon account, and I did a lot of study for this prior to. I've been studying this one's been in the chamber. This topic has been on my mind for like a month or so, a little over a month. And so some of these bands I went back and listened to. In fact, the bottom 3 bands, the top 2 I knew immediately. I hate them today. But the bottom 3, oh, that was another one. Ace of Base was just kind of blah back in the day, and I like listening to them now. I actually enjoy them. Even though they're not the best band in the world, and a lot of their music does sound the same. But that was one. I had to listen to it. I said, are they still bad today? And I was thinking, no. I mean, these aren't the best songs, but I smile. I remember the songs. I remember hating it so much when it came out, but now they're not so bad because nostalgia wins out. But Counting Crows, no. I did not have the smile on my face. Like, oh, yeah, I still hate this song, man. and the thing is, and the reason they're number 5 is because I could listen to their music longer than the top 4, which when I started it, I maybe made it 10 seconds and went, I got to stop. This is awful. But Counting Crows, I was able to listen to more than 5 or 10 seconds of it. And I was like, yeah, it's still a bad band. So Counting Crows, what is this, 5? We're at number 5 here. So number four is, and I know a friend of mine who just went to go see them in concert a year or so ago. Cranberries. Boy, do I hate the Cranberries. I hated them back as a kid. I despise them now. It's so awful. The finger, do you have to let it linger? And then everything that they did is just awful. It's just it's nails on a chalkboard for me. It's so bad. It's so bad. Cannot stand the Cranberries. And let me just digress here for a minute. I went to a lot of concerts back in the day. Back in late college or early after college, my 23 to whatever, 27, 28. I hit up so many. I was a concert going dude, man. I went to concerts all over the state and other states. I didn't travel outside the South, but I was just knocking down. Shoot, actually, in my 30 or 31, I think I was still doing them. Cause I think my wife met me, or she met me. We weren't dating, but she met me, and I was still doing the last of my concert stage. She was at the very end of my concert stage. We went to a few concerts together when we got married. Now we don't do them anymore, but I used to go to them all the time, and just not even ones I was caring about, like Three Doors Down. I don't really love Three Doors Down. They weren't bad, but I went to go see them because they were playing near me. And there's one band that I regretted not going. Well, two. During my beach vacation, I was offered to sneak off and go see a Weezer concert, and I felt so bad sneaking away for one night from family vacation. I didn't do it, but I heard it was like the most amazing concert. It was in the backyard of someone's pool. It was invitation only, and I had received a special invitation. I didn't know it was that. I thought it was like a big arena, but he goes, no, man, it was only personal friends. And he said, and my buddy was one, and he could bring a +1, and he wanted his wife to come, but his wife said no. Ask Matt. He's actually in the area, and he's a huge Weezer fan. And I still keep up with that couple today, but he had invited me, and I said I couldn't. And then he told me all about it when we got home, and I was like so upset that I missed that one. And the other one, I just didn't go because I had to go with someone. I felt like the trip's no good. Going to a concert alone sucks. Going with at least one other person is what you need. And it was the band's not together anymore. It's Family Force 5, and they were doing a concert. It was the only time. I mean, it was like 5 hours away, but that was the closest they'd ever been. I still love that band today, and thought, oh man, well I got someone to agree to go, and then he wussed out on me last minute. I was really pissed at him, but I didn't go either. And ate those tickets, and because I didn't want to travel 5 hours or 5.5 hours. It was a long ways away, wherever they were. It was like 5 hours. And I was like, man, it's going to be terrible to go on my own. But now I regret it because now the band's broken up. They're never getting back together. And all I've got is their few albums they made, which I think are genius. And sadly, I'll never go again. I did go to a Creed concert because my roommate was big into Creed. And I said, sure, let's go. I don't care. Like my wife and I went to a few country concerts. I don't like country music, but Garth Brooks puts on a solid performance, I'll admit. Went to, what was their name? Breaking Benjamin back in the day. That was my wife and I's first kind of date, not non-official date. She had an extra ticket, and she knew I wanted to go because the guy who bailed on me on Family Force 5 paid for Breaking Benjamin tickets, but then did not pay for. He offered to pay for them, but he didn't. He forgot, and then we weren't going to go, and I was pissed because it was sold out, and they were right next to it, and like right, an hour down the road from us, and I was so pissed I was going to miss them. But then my wife had an extra ticket and invited me to go. This is back before, like I said, we were dating, so I didn't know. I just thought, hey, cool, I got a free ticket. That's all I thought back in the day. But the funny thing was, though, she did not know the band. She did not know the band. She had to buy their best what was it, the hit album, the bestsellers album, the best of album, and she listened to that all week long and fooled me into thinking she was a Breaking Benjamin fan, but she wasn't. That was back when she loved me and cared about me. But anyway, so yeah, I used to go to concerts all the time, and I had so much fun at these concerts. We went, and this is one right before our kids were born. The last concert me and my wife went together before the kids were born was geez, the frag. It was called. He's dead now, but it's a popular. Oh my goodness, I cannot remember his name. Jerry Lee Lewis. There you go. The late great Jerry Lee Lewis. It was to my knowledge, his last or second to last concert. I think he did one more concert. He had like a 4-city tour. He'd go to Biloxi, Jackson, somewhere in North Mississippi, and then end in Memphis. And that was about as far as he could travel. He lived in Biloxi, and he'd travel up to Memphis, but he'd make stops along the way. And he did this every year, first of the year, and that was it for his traveling, because he didn't travel much. And so we went to his Jackson, Mississippi show, and he either did the other show, but he never made it to Memphis. I know that because he had to cancel. So it was because he got sick, and then COVID happened, then he got locked down, and then nothing happened because he died later on. I don't know, just of old age. He was already in his 90s, I think. And we went because my wife was a huge Jerry Lee Lewis fan. That was a pleasure. Dude came out on a walker and started playing. But he was moving very slow. But when he got on the piano, it was like he was 20 years old again. That was the most incredible thing to see. So concerts, and it was just a great concert. It was a great the concert people also make for great concerts too. I've been to bash at the beaches and had fun. Crowd surfing, mosh pitting, which I'm glad I don't think that's a thing anymore, and I'm glad. I could mosh pit like the best of them, but I hated the people who sat outside the mosh pit and threw an elbow and then would run back out like sissies. My brother and I would go and tackle them and drag them in and pummel them. It's where you could just get away with just beating people up. We actually ran from the cops, I remember, because we were thrown out. We didn't run from the cops. We were thrown out of the concert, and then we got back in, but then the cops found us and started following us, and we lost them in the crowd. But I remember we also lost our shirts too, and I threw away my cap because I didn't want to be identified. There's a billion kids there, and they're going to identify you by what you're wearing. So it was my brother's idea, smart idea. He went, "Hey, dude, ditch the cap and that hat." And it's like, "No, man, I love this cap." But he said, "We can always come back the next day," and of course they cleaned that up and threw that away. So I lost one of my favorite caps because when you go out, you go with your number one cap, not your number two cap, and your number one shirt. So I lost some good threads there. I can't remember what I was wearing, but in fact, I can't remember the hat. Oh, yes, I do know the hat. It was a nice hat. But either way, I remember we did that, and that sure enough, it worked. We were not followed anymore. They lost us in the crowd of a bunch of other people because we had the backwards cap on and the shirts, and then we were just bare-chested and, bare-chested guys and I hate being without a shirt on in public. I think that's just sloppy. I mean, now, of course, I'm out of shape, but back in the day, I hated it too because I thought, ugh, I look like a bum. But my brother's right. The cops stopped searching for us. They stopped following us, or they lost us in the crowd, and we started partying again. It was a fun time. I remember I almost clocked one because he grabbed me, and I thought someone was grabbing me in the mosh pit. I went back to rear back and sock him, and it was the police cop. I was like, uh-oh. And as they were moving us out of the gates, I thought, are we going to jail? I was like, uh-oh. Mom's not going to be happy about this, but that didn't happen. And I remember the name of the band was Bag of Donuts. They're from New Orleans, called Bag of Donuts. They were a cover band. There was a lot of bands. There were alternating stages, and sometimes they bring in big names. I can't remember what those names were now for the life of me. I say big names like 311 or so people like Three Doors Down and stuff. But every once in a while they do a local band or whatnot. And Bag of Donuts, I remember, was the band that we got kicked out on. I can't remember who was playing when we came back in. But we eventually just dove into a club and just hung out there for the rest of the night. But fun stuff, good memories. But a lot of concerts. Went to a lot of concerts as a kid. So even music, I went to the Creed concert. That's when I discovered a band called Finger 11. They're a great band. I haven't listened to them in forever. Also went to a band, the name of them is Nine Inch Nails. Went to see a Nine Inch Nails concert. My buddy, his girlfriend, wanted to go see him, and he asked me if I'd take her to the radio station because, well, they were going to a car lot. When radio stations were still a thing back in the early 2010s and whatnot. Or no, this is mid-2000s. I was married by then. Hello. Mid-2000s. The radio stations were still a thing, and so we went to the car lot to win tickets to Nine Inch Nails. She won immediately 2 tickets. And they said, hey, man, stick around because there's no one else coming by. Well, right before they'd make the next drawing, someone would stop by and put their name. So it's always me versus someone else. The entire day, the other person won. And the DJs felt awful. And they said, hey, man, I'm so sorry. We don't have a ticket for you. And they just felt awful. He said, I'd give you mine, but I already gave it away to someone else because I'd been there literally since that morning. And now they had to cut it off at like 4 in the afternoon because, you got to make it to the concert because the concert was like an hour and a half away. And he was like, dude, I am so sorry. And they were like, they felt awful for me. I was like, it's all right. And of course the girl felt really bad because I was the one that took her because her boyfriend had the car. She didn't have a car. And so she called her boyfriend and she was a little upset. And she's like, look, Matt stayed with me all day and he didn't have a ticket. And Brad, I'm still friends with Brad. He goes, dude, you just go with him. Just go with him. He's like, I'm getting off work now, and I'm worn out. He said, I don't want to go to the concert anyway. I mean, he loved Nine Inch Nails, but he thought, I've been working all day, and I'm just spent. So, in fact, he took a second shift, I think. He went ahead and took a second shift, I think was it was. Maybe he was going to take a second shift at work. And so he didn't want to go anyway. So I went, and I was so happy. Even though I wasn't the biggest Nine Inch Nails fan, but I love going to concerts. And it was a great concert. I remember the Nine Inch Nails guy dove into the crowd with a electric guitar, clocked some dude on the head, like cut him open, and the guy signed the electric guitar and gave it to him, like it's a please don't sue me move. But of course that guy was like, yeah, I mean he was coated in blood, and he was just like celebrating because he had an electric guitar because of it, and probably a cool scar and stuff to talk about. Like, hey, the lead singer of Nine Inch Nails gave me this, and here's the guitar, and here's the blood. I wouldn't even wipe the blood off, to be honest with you, either. But yeah, so I think a lot of great stories. I have some great stories too. I have some drumsticks from Three Doors Down and drumsticks from other concerts. And I should have wrote down. I thought I'll never forget who I got this drumstick from. I have. I think one was Cayman's Call. One is definitely Three Doors Down because he gave me that. And then another one, I cannot for the life of me. Some of these smaller bands I'd go see too. But the only band. Well, let me do 2 more, and then I'll talk about the only band I have not seen in live before that I want to. Okay, so here we go. We'll do 2 more of these, then save it for number 1. Since it's just me today, I got to do something else to talk about. And by the way, I love music topics. I don't do that many music topics because I can't think of any, but love me a music topic on a Saturday morning. Samoflange. Number 3. This is the one that's going to piss people off. All these are going to piss people off. Pearl Jam. Can't stand Pearl Jam. Pearl Jam is off. Jeremy Spoken Class. I hated them back in the 90s. I had no idea why they were. I mean, my friends loved Pearl Jam. Pearl Jam was the best. And I thought way overrated. In fact, I despise listening to their music. And still today, and this is one, I did have to go back and listen to their music. I went, I might like it now. Because I'm not dead set on hating any of these bands. But listen to a few lyrics or a few notes and whatnot. I went, nope. I know what's coming, and I hate it. It's headache music for me. It's, in fact, the next 3 of these are just so horrendous. But Pearl Jam, definitely there, number 3. All right, number 2. Number 2 is another one that my wife actually loves. I cannot stand, for the life of me, Hootie and the Blowfish. You and me, we come from different worlds. I hate it. All their music sounds the same. I hate the guy's voice. I know Darius Rucker, I think is his name, did his own little country album. Good for him. Good for being successful. Hootie and the Blowfish should be. And I think my brother would even say that was music he hated back in the day, but now he's okay with. No, I still hate it today. I still think it's awful. I still think it's a waste of time. It's so stinking bad. But, anyway, besides that, let me get back to the one band that I have never seen in concert that I want to, and that is New Found Glory. I'm a huge New Found Glory fan. Back in the days of punk was the big thing, punk rock and stuff like that. There's a lot of punk rock bands I listen to. There's only one I still listen to today that still comes out with good music, and that is New Found Glory. I love Weezer. I finally went to a Weezer concert, scratched that one off the list, and really the only one left is New Found Glory. And the closest they ever come maybe is Dallas, but again, making a trip out there, I'm not as motivated because I know my wife's not that big a fan, and my wife would go. My wife would go to a concert. Not saying she wouldn't go. She would definitely go because she loves to go to concerts, period. Even though she's not a big fan. She didn't hate New Found Glory. That's just not her music. And she likes some of their music. Some of the times when I play the music, she's, I like this song. Play it, So she would probably go to one if I wanted to go to. I just don't go to concerts anymore. And basically because we have 4 kids, 5 and under, and to ask someone to watch them for an entire night or longer, because if I'm going to Dallas, I had to spend the night, I guess, or have someone in Dallas watch them. I just don't hate anyone that much to ask to watch 4 kids. I feel like I'm abandoning the eggs, like in Horton hatches an egg or whatever. I feel like I'm the bird who abandoned the kids for too long. I feel awful when that stuff starts coming around. So maybe that's one of the big reasons I don't do the concert, but New Found Glory is probably the last one. Would I ever go to a Weezer concert again? Yes. I'd love to go to the one they're doing right now. Sorry, it's super loud. No, I have the door shut, but there's no privacy here, and everyone has one volume, and that is 11. Everyone yells. Everyone yells around here. It's so annoying. But, you can't help it because the TV's turned up to an 11 downstairs, I think. So everyone has to yell to get over the TV. And then the kids downstairs just turn up the TV louder. Like, there is no noise cap here at the beach. I'm lucky that I haven't been interrupted during this session. I think someone came and opened the door real quick and closed it. But other than that, though, I knew I wouldn't get any privacy. You can't even get privacy outside, for crying out loud, because it's super loud. Some people are outside laughing and being super loud. And you think the ocean and the wind would kind of cover that up. Plus, the wind was really bad, so I thought, maybe not do it there. And I can't do it in my own room because there are a billion people. My little girls bring their little cousins in there to play, and I get that. And they're always running around screaming because that's the game we love to play, is run around and scream all day. I was a kid too, so that was my favorite game too. Not judging, just saying that's the game's being played right now. But anyway, probably would go back to a Weezer, and that's basically it. Not to say I'd never go to any other concert again. But the only one that would motivate me a little bit now to go would be New Found Glory. But again, I just don't do concerts. I stopped doing concerts. I don't have to go. I'd go to one, but to go out of my way to go to a concert now, probably not going to happen. More screaming. I hope this all picks up. But anyway, all right, so number one, hated band, still today. It's probably one of the most famous ones. I have a few friends who have gone to concerts recently with this person, and they get all teary-eyed and all excited that they're going to see them. And I was like, wow, that's awesome. Good for you. But I hate the Dave Matthews Band. Cannot stand them. I mean, you look at all of these. And now, first off, what's the levels of dislike here? Dave Matthews Band is far and above every single one of these. It's a clear number one. And then a solid number two that's further down the list is Hootie and the Blowfish. And then you have to drop a few more rungs to get Pearl Jam, Counting Crows, and Cranberries and Counting Crows. Those are all near the bottom, okay? You climb up that ladder of dislike, and you're going to find Hootie and the Blowfish. And then you have to climb up at the very top of the ladder. And that is how far ahead that I hate Dave Matthews Band more than any of these other ones. It wasn't even close. When I first came up with this list in my head, the first one I thought about, Dave Matthews Band. I hate them back then. I hate them now. I cannot stand their music. Hootie and the Blowfish second. But a nice distant second. And then, distant third, fourth, and fifth would be the Pearl Jam, the Cranberries, and Counting Crows. But Dave Matthews Band, never liked it. Hated it back in the day. Still hate it today. Like I said, some of this music you get nostalgic for and you listen to now. I've been racking my brain trying to think of what were the other bands, but I think there were a bunch of one-hit wonders that I didn't like back in the day, but now I'm fine with. I don't remember if there was a big band. Maybe there was, but either way, it without a shadow of a doubt, Dave Matthews Band is my number one. So there you have it. You need to let me know in the comments below what your top 5 most hated bands are. And you know what I want to hear as well? I want to hear what bands or singers or songs that you used to hate that now you'll tolerate because of nostalgia. You're like, oh, I remember this song. I remember hating this song. I still do that. Now, I haven't listened to the 90s channel like my brother has, but maybe on the road trip back, I may play it just to see, and maybe I'll have to make an update to this on who I wanted to. And it's sad because I wanted to get Benjamin in on this, but then I thought some of my brothers would be a better pick at that, but it just ended up being me. Okay, and now my name is getting yelled, which means I guess it's coming close to dinner time because now I'm listening and it's gotten quiet. So everyone leaves for dinner and I'm getting yelled at for dinner. So that about wraps it up. So an early Saturday morning Samoflange here. Let me know in the comments, all that stuff, and hopefully we'll see you next time on some Saturday morning Samoflange.